My friend, let's call her Jess, had a way of commanding attention. She didn't walk into rooms. She arrived. It didn't matter if she was 5 minutes early or 40 minutes late. People noticed her. The kind of woman who could light up a space with a laugh, even if the joke was at someone else's expense. Especially then. It was a Friday night, and we were at a mutual friend's place, a cozy rooftop setup with string lights, cheap wine, and the kind of curated playlist that tried too hard. The air buzzed with early summer heat, the kind that clung to your skin and made everything feel more intense than it really was. Nick was there. That mattered. Tall, bookish, a little quiet, but in the kind of way that made you lean in when he spoke. We'd been texting on and off for a few weeks, usually about music or weird indie films. Nothing overtly flirty, but there was a rhythm between us. A pulse. Jess knew that. I told her about him one night when we were tipsy on her couch, legs tangled under a blanket, and for the first time in a long time, I had said, I think I actually like this one. Big mistake. She never forgets a detail that can be weaponized. The party was already in full swing when Nick and I ended up side by side, drinks in hand. He asked me how work was going. I told him a funny story about a client confusing JPEG with Jägermeister. He laughed. I felt my chest loosen. Then Jess glided in. She wrapped an arm around my shoulders like we were in high school again and tilted her head dramatically. Oh my God, Nick, has she told you yet about that time in college when she thought her professor was flirting with her? I blinked. My smile stalled. Jess. She emailed him a full love confession, Jess continued, grinning like a game show host. Turns out he was just complimenting her bibliography skills. A few people around us laughed. Nick looked amused, not cruelly, but that polite, I don't know how to react kind of way. I laughed too, because what else could I do? I made a self-deprecating face, a little guilty as charged shrug, and tried to steer the conversation somewhere else. But Jess wasn't done. Oh! And tell him about the hamster funeral you held freshman year. With printed programs. You sang. Someone actually snorted behind me. Okay, I said, smiling with teeth, that's enough embarrassing stories. But Jess just kept going. My awkward dates, the time I tripped in front of a guest speaker, even a very private story I told her once about crying in the campus chapel after a really bad breakup. Her voice was sweet, almost maternal, but her eyes sparkled with triumph. I looked at Nick. He wasn't laughing anymore. Just quiet, his eyes lowered to his drink, unreadable. I have work early, I said suddenly, standing. Didn't realize the time. Jess pouted. Already? But you just got here. I forced a smile. Gotta be responsible sometime. I left. No dramatic exit, no slammed door. Just the quiet clicking of my heels down the stairs and the cold breath of air that met me on the street. That night, I kept checking my phone. Part of me believed, hoped, Nick would message me. That he'd see through it. That the energy between us wasn't one-sided. But when my screen finally lit up, it wasn't him. It was Jess. So, guess who finally made a move on Nick tonight? Don't be mad. He said he never liked you like that anyway. I stared at the message, rereading it over and over. No anger. Just silence. Heavy. Slow. Final. I put the phone down. And quietly began thinking about everything she had ever done to me. Every humiliation she wrapped in the glitter of just teasing. Every crush she flirted with after hearing me whisper about them. Every time she used me for backup, for contrast, for applause. But this time was different. Because now I was going to make sure she remembered it forever. I didn't cry that night. I didn't throw things or text angry paragraphs or spiral into one of those social media doom scroll sessions. Instead, I lay on my bed in the half-light, phone face down on the pillow beside me, and let the stillness stretch. I replayed Jess's message in my mind. The cruelty in it wasn't even subtle. She hadn't said sorry. Not even, hope you're okay. No, it was wrapped in that same mocking tone she'd perfected over the years. A tone that said, I won. You lost. Deal with it. I kept thinking about the look on Nick's face, the one moment I caught when Jess was mid-story, and he'd looked at me instead of laughing. Just a flicker of discomfort. A split second where it felt like he saw me. But then he still went home with her. That was the part one couldn't swallow. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a message from her. Again. OMG, last night was wild. He's so good in bed. Like, unexpectedly good? I swear I thought he was gonna be all soft boy, but he's a freak, lol. Anyway, let's do brunch soon. Love you. I stared at it until the screen dimmed. I didn't reply. What was there to say? That it hurt? She already knew. That it was low? That was the point. Jess had always lived in that liminal space between friend and frenemy, slipping back and forth depending on what she needed. I used to convince myself she didn't mean it, that she just didn't think. But now? I saw it. She chose this. She chose to make me the punchline. She chose to drag Nick into it. She chose to sleep with him, not because she liked him, but because she knew I did. And suddenly, every tiny betrayal over the years started clicking into place like puzzle pieces. The lipstick she borrowed and never gave back. The job interview I never got because she passed my resume late. The guy she swore she didn't like until the moment I told her I did. I could have gone no contact. I could have blocked her. I could have cried it out with wine and movies and Maya Angelou quotes. But I didn't. Because I realized something chilling, something oddly empowering. Jess thought she could do whatever she wanted and get away with it. Because she always had. But she didn't know I had stopped forgiving her. Not this time. She didn't know what I was capable of when I stopped giving a damn about being the bigger person. I wasn't going to fight her in public. I wasn't going to stoop to her level. I was going to bury her in her own lies. The idea came suddenly. A click. Not rage. Not impulse. Strategy. I opened a blank note on my phone and typed the word. Phase 1. Beneath it, I wrote. Fake STD test. Jess's name. Screenshot. Facebook burner. Then, another line. Message all her guys. Every single one. A smile curled at the corners of my lips, slow, deliberate. Because if Jess wanted to burn bridges, I'd make sure she couldn't even find the river anymore. It started with a spreadsheet. Just names at first. First names only, because this wasn't about details yet, it was about scale. I opened my laptop, pulled up old group photos, scrolled through party tags, clicked into Instagram comment sections like I was performing a forensic analysis. Every miss you, every fire emoji, every inside joke told on public display. The list grew faster than I expected. 12 names in the first hour. By the next morning, 21. And that was only the ones I could confirm. I remembered one night, Jess had boasted that she'd sampled at least half the men in our zip code. She laughed like she was invincible. And she almost was. Because Jess didn't have consequences, she had charm. Pretty privilege with a knife behind the back. But charm can't explain away a positive STD test. I fired up Photoshop and found a sample result form online. A little Googling, some font matching, and 30 minutes later, I had it. The perfect fake. A clean, terrifyingly real positive for something that had enough weight to scare, but not enough to ruin lives. Just enough to unhinge her empire. Chlamydia, positive. Retest recommended. Notify recent partners immediately. I added her name to the top in bold. Chose the right lab. Cleaned up the edges. One final touch, a date that suggested she'd only found out yesterday. Because if they thought she'd just now discovered it, panic would do the rest. Then came the Facebook account. It had to be perfect. I created a burner using an email she once used for event RSVPs, not her main, but one some of the guys would remember. A mirror image, the same profile picture from a year ago. The same lover not a fighter bio. Old posts copy-pasted from her original profile. Even a check-in at a wine bar from 3 weeks ago to make it look active. And then, the group chat. I named it something deliberately frantic. WTF is wrong with you all? One by one, I added them in. Half of them still had their photos up. Most accepted immediately. Guys love being grouped into chaos when it smells like gossip or sex. As soon as there were at least a dozen active in the thread, I dropped the nuke. Which one of you gave me this? I attached the positive test screenshot and followed up with, I'm serious. If I don't hear from whoever did this, I'm dropping names. There was a pause, about 30 seconds of silence. Then, what the actual F asterisk 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 is this? Wait, what? Are you joking? We hooked up 2 weeks ago. Are you serious right now? One guy left the group. Another started privately messaging me, begging for more details. 2 more guys were arguing with each other by the 5th minute. But then, the most beautiful message appeared. From someone I didn't recognize. Wait, are you saying you slept with someone else? I thought we were exclusive. The room went cold. He sent a screenshot, messages from Jess calling him babe, planning a weekend in the mountains, even introducing him to her niece. 8 months. He said they'd been together for 8 months. And she'd been sleeping around the whole time. I felt my hands go still on the keyboard. That wasn't part of my plan. I wasn't expecting heartbreak to show up. But it did, raw and unfiltered. This man had no idea he'd been a chapter in her highlight reel, while she curated a rotation of men behind his back. And now, all of them knew about each other. I didn't have to fake anything else. I didn't have to say a word. The avalanche had started. And once it reached the bottom, it would flatten everything in its path. Jess wanted attention. Jess wanted control. Jess wanted power. Now, she had none. And I had only just begun. It didn't take long. Once the group chat exploded, the chaos began to leak. I didn't even have to touch it. The panic took on a life of its own. A few of the guys, trying to clear their names or prove their innocence, forwarded screenshots to friends. One of them posted about it on a private Reddit thread. Another dropped it in a group chat that included at least 2 girls I recognized from our college. By nightfall, Jess's name was being whispered in corners of the internet she had no control over. And still, she had no idea. Not yet. That night, I kept refreshing the fake Facebook account. Messages rolled in. You owe me answers. So you were cheating on me this whole time? I got tested already. If I'm clean, I'm going public with this. I told my girlfriend. Thanks for ruining my life. You're disgusting. The messages ranged from betrayed to furious to absolutely nuclear. One guy, an older man I vaguely remembered from a wedding after party, said she promised him he was the only one. He claimed they were talking about moving in together this summer. Another sent a photo of him burning a bracelet Jess had given him, captioned, "Guess it was a lie like everything else." Some of them blamed each other. Some blamed her. A few began comparing timelines, and the math was damning. She hadn't even bothered to space them out. There were weekends where she'd apparently seen 3 of them in 2 days. The thread became a black hole of rage, betrayal, and shame. And then it happened. One of the guys, I didn't even have to encourage this, took a screenshot of the whole chat, blurred out his own name, and posted it to a closed Facebook men's group he belonged to. He titled it, "Be careful out here, someone's playing dirty." From there, it was out of my hands. I watched in silence as the image started to spread. From the closed group, it was screen-capped and reposted to other groups. I found it the next morning on a private Instagram story from someone who didn't even know Jess, tagged, ironically, with a caption that read, "Who even is this girl? El Mayo." It was no longer just scandal. It was content. Meme pages picked it up. People started editing the test result to add jokes. Her fake meltdown message, "Which one of you did this?" became a reaction image. I had created an accidental internet legend. But the part that chilled me the most, the part that solidified the crack forming under Jess's perfectly polished life, was this. Someone sent the image to her parents. Not on purpose. Not maliciously. But one of the exes, out of sheer confusion or panic, forwarded the test photo to what he thought was Jess's number. except it was her mother's, saved from an old family event years ago. Her mother. By noon that day, Jess's entire family knew. And that was the moment the air changed. Because Jess could handle gossip. She could handle hate. But shame? Real, parental disappointment? That was her Achilles heel. I received the first real text from her that afternoon. From her real number. Hey, can we talk? Something weird is going on and I think someone's using my name for sick shit. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened a new note on my phone. Phase 2. And I wrote, "Let the truth unravel itself." Jess always thought she was untouchable. She lived in curated selfies and filtered chaos, always 10 steps ahead of the narrative, laughing, flirting, manipulating. But this? This was something she couldn't spin with a witty caption or a fake apology video. Because this wasn't a mistake. This was a reckoning. By the time Monday rolled around, I knew she had seen the group chat. The real one. The one I had created. She had tried to log into the fake Facebook account. The system notified me of the failed login attempt. I changed the password again just to be sure. Her Instagram went private. Her stories stopped. But other people didn't. Screenshots of the conversation continued circulating. One of the guys from the chat had a girlfriend who found out, not just about the cheating, but about the STDs. She blasted both of them on her own socials. Her words were surgical. Jess lied to my boyfriend and slept with him. She told him she was exclusive. He believed her. I didn't. I got tested. He didn't. Guess who has chlamydia now? The post went viral. Comments started pouring in not just on her post, but on Jess's old photos. Hundreds of them. Some mocking. Some vicious. Others, just sad. One girl wrote, "I used to look up to you. Thought you were fearless. Turns out you're just reckless." And then came the guys. Not all 20 responded, but enough did to form a pattern, a mosaic of similar stories, timelines, tactics. Jess had promised them exclusivity. Promised them different versions of herself. Each one thought he had something special. Each one was a placeholder. A man who had once posted about her on Valentine's Day with a poem, a real one, rhymed and awful, publicly deleted the post and replaced it with, "Turns out poetry doesn't protect against STDs." People laughed. Shared it. It hit Twitter. Then TikTok. By the end of the day, Jess's name was trending in 3 separate group threads I was in. I didn't have to do anything anymore. I just watched. It was a kind of beautiful unraveling. Like pulling one thread and watching the whole dress fall apart in public. Then came the texts. First, "Please. I know you're behind this. This is sick. Why are you doing this to me?" Then, "People are messaging my job. My boss got the image. I could get fired." And finally, "You win." Okay, you win. I'm ruined. Happy now? I almost felt something, some flicker of hesitation. But it passed. Because she didn't sound sorry. She sounded cornered. This wasn't remorse. It was fear. She had climbed to the top of a throne built from other people's silence, and now that silence was gone. There was no crown. No applause. Just screenshots, side eyes, and deleted comments. She made her bed. And now she was lying in it, choking on the threads. But what she didn't realize was that this wasn't just revenge. This was the beginning of her being seen for real. Not the version she edited. Not the flirty, clever girl who used everyone like they were part of a performance. This was her, exposed and raw, finally at the mercy of the truth. And the worst part? It wasn't over yet. Jess always thrived on narrative control. She didn't care what the truth was, she only cared about what seemed true. In her world, perception was reality. So when the fake test results leaked, and the men started sharing stories, and her inbox filled with venom, she didn't reflect. She rebranded. Her first move was the easiest card to play, the victim. She posted a black and white selfie on her Instagram, eyes red-rimmed, lips slightly parted, the caption below scrawled like a diary entry. When people weaponize lies to destroy your life, all you can do is pray and protect your peace. I will rise from this. I've been hacked. I've been slandered. I've been violated. But I know who I am, and I know who God says I am. It landed like a brick in an ocean. For every loyal follower who posted hearts and stay strong, there were 10 more who weren't buying it. They dropped receipts in the comments, screenshots, DMs. Some even started stitching her post with videos, reading her caption out loud, and then cutting to messages from the group chat. Within 2 hours, her post had more comments than likes. By morning, it was gone. Deleted. Scrubbed clean. But the internet never forgets. Re-uploads began circulating. People started mocking her "God says I am" line, turning it into a meme. One guy changed his bio to "God said I was exclusive." Jess said "LOL no." Even worse, a girl she used to mentor, someone she coached during a brief influencer collaboration, posted a long video. "She told me to always fake it till you make it," the girl said, voice flat. I guess faking sincerity was part of the curriculum. That one hurt her. I know it did because she tried calling me the next night. Twice. I didn't answer. Instead, I watched as her entire brand began crumbling. The companies that once sponsored her quietly pulled her tags. A wellness brand she collaborated with posted a vague statement about values alignment. Another one removed her photo from their site without comment. Then came the final blow. Someone, I still don't know who, forwarded the group chat screenshot to the principal at the school where Jess's mom worked. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was someone trying to warn the family. But it worked. Because 3 hours later, Jess's mom called her at work and screamed. That's what I heard from a friend who happened to be in the cafe across the street. Said Jess walked out of the building midday, shaking, tears streaking down her makeup, clutching her phone like it was bleeding. She was unraveling. And the best part? I wasn't doing anything. It was all happening naturally. No edits. No more fake accounts. No nudges. Just gravity doing its job, dragging her back down from the pedestal she built out of other people's backs. You know what they say, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. But Jess? Jess showed everyone too late. And now? Now they believed it all. It was midweek when Jess disappeared from Instagram. Not just a deleted post or a silence between stories, the entire account vanished. Username not found. Search bar empty. It was like she'd been digitally erased. For someone like Jess, that wasn't just a retreat. It was collapse. I knew she hadn't done it voluntarily. She tried. She really did. She messaged a few of the guys from the chat, not through Facebook. That door was closed, but through text. She sent them the same carefully curated message, copied and pasted, like a PR statement in lowercase. Hey. Ick what you saw or heard, but it wasn't me. Someone's pretending to be me. I'm really scared right now. Please don't share anything else. One of them screenshotted it and posted it to his story with a caption. Girl. I was in your bed last weekend. Stop. Another posted their entire conversation, including the part where she tried to claim she was a virgin. A virgin? That one went viral. Her lies weren't just unraveling. They were catching fire. And then the texts started coming in from her side. Not to me, never directly to me, but to mutuals, people in the outer rings of the friend circle we'd both spun like galaxies. Jess was calling people. Crying. Accusing. Begging. Some of them forwarded the voicemails to me. Her voice was hoarse. Panicked. It's not me. Someone hacked me. I'm being set up. You know I'd never do this, right? Except they did know. Now they did. Jess's charm had expired. Her lifetime warranty on forgiveness had run out. And the men in her life weren't the only ones taking stock of the damage. One day later, a new message leaked. This time, it was a DM from a woman named Camille. Camille said she was Jess's boyfriend's sister. Wait, boyfriend? Yes. Jess, for all her messy hookups and flirtations, had been claiming a real relationship with a man named Theo. He lived in another city. She'd been visiting him on weekends. Said they were working toward engagement. Camille's DM was direct. Hey, not sure who's behind this account, but you should know Jess has been lying to my brother for months. He found out today through Reddit. He's broken. He said she made him feel safe for the first time in years. Just thought you should know the damage goes deeper than likes and DMs. Theo. I searched him online. Found his photography profile. Quiet. Soft-spoken. The kind of man Jess always overlooked unless she needed a safety net. He posted a black square on his story with one sentence written in white. I should have listened to my gut. I didn't feel glee when I saw it. I felt something else. Satisfaction. Quiet. Measured. Not because Theo deserved to suffer, but because he deserved to know. They all did. And now, finally, Jess wasn't protected by silence. She was surrounded by her own reflection. All the things she used to mock me for being too emotional, too sensitive, too naive, had become the exact things she couldn't fake her way out of. And when the curtain fell, no one clapped. Jess had one move left. When the apologies didn't work, when the DMs were ignored or mocked, when the tears were met with silence, she pivoted. Like all self-centered villains in a free fall, she tried to rewrite the ending before she hit the ground. She called it her truth. It came in the form of a Notes app screenshot posted to a new Instagram account. A fresh profile. Clean slate. No old photos, no tagged pictures. Just a black and white icon and a carefully chosen username at stillstanding_Jess. The post read like a manifesto written in front of a ring light. No punctuation. All lowercase. Full of buzzwords and thinly veiled threats. I've been quiet. Not because I'm guilty, but because I've been healing. What's been said about me online is not only false. It's dangerous. I'm a survivor of emotional manipulation, of online bullying, of slander. People love to tear down confident women. I won't stay silent anymore. At the bottom, she added. To those who really know me, thank you for standing by me. To those who didn't, I hope the drama was worth it. The comments were turned off. But the internet didn't need a comment box to reply. Her truth was met with a storm. Within an hour, screenshots of the note were circulating again, placed side by side with messages from the group chat, DMs, even her own voice memos that some of the guys had saved. One of them posted a TikTok breaking down the timeline of her lies with surgical precision. It wasn't a takedown. It was a dissection. And still, Jess pushed forward. She went on a podcast. A small one, hosted by a girl she knew from a modeling class. She framed the entire scandal as a coordinated smear campaign. Claimed she had proof, but wasn't emotionally ready to release it yet. The host fed her softball questions, nodding sympathetically while Jess tried to cry on cue. But she couldn't control the comments section there either. Listeners flooded it with facts, timelines, and damning evidence. One guy, one of the 20 from the original group chat, commented, "If this is what healing looks like, I hope I never recover." The podcast episode was removed 2 days later. Then came the brand withdrawals. Her last remaining sponsorship, a local fashion boutique, quietly archived their collab posts. One of their interns followed me on Twitter. I saw her tweet the next morning. When your empowered queen turns out to be a walking scandal, guess who gets to scrub the mess from the website? Me. Even her friends, the ones who had blindly supported her in the beginning, started disappearing from her corner. One posted a passive-aggressive story with a drink in hand. Funny how truth only shows up after the free clothes disappear. And then, finally, the leak. Someone, maybe one of the betrayed men, maybe a former friend, sent the fake test screenshot, the chat log, and Jess's new handle to her boss. She worked in PR. The irony was thick enough to drown in. She was placed on indefinite leave within hours. Her work email was disconnected. A company-wide memo went out the next day. All brand-related social media and personal accounts are under review. We do not condone or support behavior that compromises the integrity of our values. Jess didn't post again after that. No more notes app paragraphs. No more selfies. No more branding. And if she did try to explain, if she tried to rally support or recast herself as a phoenix rising from the ashes, no one was there to listen. Because even ashes don't burn twice. It was the silence that broke her. Jess had weathered gossip before, rumors, bad hookups, even a canceled party invite or two, but this wasn't silence that meant people had moved on. This was the kind of silence that follows after everyone has already said what they needed to say. No more messages. No more arguments. No more attention. She was alone. Her last attempt to control the narrative fizzled out like a damp match. She emailed her old group of friends a long letter, formatted like a newsletter, titled, "An Open Apology and Clarification." I got a copy from a mutual who forwarded it to me with the subject line, "You've got to read this delusion." It began with, "I never meant to hurt anyone. I was hurting myself and didn't know how to stop." Then she pivoted. "If I lied, it was out of fear. If I loved too many, it was because I didn't know how to love myself." By the third paragraph, she was blaming us. No one ever asked me if I was okay. Everyone just took what they could and disappeared. I was always the one who showed up. So maybe I made mistakes. But maybe I was just giving you what you all wanted from me. There were no replies. One person responded with a thumbs down emoji, and that was it. Not even rage. Just dismissal. That's when she started disappearing in real life. She stopped going to the gym. She quit the weekend social scene. Even her favorite nail tech posted in her stories that Jess canceled indefinitely. The receptionist at her apartment complex told someone, who told someone else, that Jess had requested to have all her deliveries left at the front desk to avoid being seen. Word was, her parents found the group chat screenshots circulating in WhatsApp parent groups. It had finally reached their church circle. Her father, once proud and always the first to defend her, hadn't spoken to her in days. Her mother blocked her on Facebook. She didn't show up to a single family function that month. Or the next. Then came the ultimate fracture, Theo. He sent her one final message and then shared it with someone who shared it with me. No anger. No curse words. Just this. "I would have forgiven you if it had only been me. But it was all of us. And I can't forgive someone who treats people like mirrors, only valuable when we reflect something back." He ended it with, "Please don't contact me again." And then, for the first time in her life, Jess obeyed. Because she had no one else left to turn to. No audience. No fallback. No lifeline. All the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal, it hadn't just destroyed her reputation. It had hollowed her out. And now she was standing in the wreckage alone with the echo of her own voice, realizing too late that no one was clapping anymore. The last time I saw Jess was by accident. She was standing in line at a pharmacy, dressed in a hoodie pulled low over her face, sunglasses on inside, despite the cloudy weather. Her posture had changed, shoulders curled inward, no more sway in her hips, no performative glances over her shoulder to see who was watching. No one was. I stood 2 aisles over and watched her shuffle forward, phone clutched tightly in one hand, earbuds in. But the screen was black. She wasn't listening to anything. She just wanted the illusion of escape. I didn't approach her. I didn't need to, because everything that needed to be said had already been broadcast, reposted, screenshot, and stitched across the internet like a warning label. Jess had become a story people passed around, not for sympathy, but as a symbol. A cautionary tale with red lipstick and sharp teeth. She had tried, after the podcast failed, to leak her own version of events to a gossip account. They didn't bite. Too messy, too played out. She had become old news, the worst fate for someone who once lived to be watched. The messages in her inbox were ghost towns. No likes. No comments. The algorithm had buried her. Sponsors gone, allies gone, even the hate had dried up. People didn't hate Jess anymore. They simply forgot her. And for someone like her, that was worse than anything I could have done. She became a name whispered at parties if she was mentioned at all. Remember Jess? Yeah, whatever happened to her? Didn't she, fake something? Or get exposed for something? The details blurred. The story softened. But the damage stayed. Her parents didn't bring her to church anymore. A cousin told me they asked people not to mention her at family gatherings. Her mother was seen once at a bookstore alone, crying quietly near the psychology section. Jess still existed, somewhere. Probably online under a different name, lurking from behind a screen, watching the lives of the people she used to call friends unfold without her. Watching us laugh, grow, fall in love, move on. Without her. I don't know if she ever found out it was me. Maybe she suspected. Maybe she stayed up at night replaying every moment between us. Every smile I gave her that now, in hindsight, might have felt like a lie. But it wasn't a lie. I was her friend. Until she made a game of my pain. Until she turned my vulnerability into entertainment. Until she took what she knew I cared about and crushed it under her heel like it didn't matter. And when I retaliated, when I gave her the mirror she had denied everyone else, I didn't scream. I didn't hit. I didn't throw fists. I simply made her visible. Not the version she edited. Not the performance. The real Jess. And once the world saw her for who she truly was, they turned away. Not with violence. Not with vengeance. With indifference. And in the end, it wasn't the test, the lies, or the men that broke her. It was the silence. That's how she disappeared. Not in a fire. Not in a scream. But in the quiet of being irrelevant.